Hey, don't look now, but Indiana, they're undefeated. They've never trailed. And I think it's time we start taking the Hoosiers a bit more seriously. We'll talk about that right now, but first things first, make sure you are subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football, Indiana fans. A lot of y'all are looking for some content around your Hoosiers. Listen, if y'all keep winning, we're going to keep talking about y'all. And even if you don't win, I'm sure we'll probably talk about y'all then as well. So make sure you're dialed in. Also, the Hard Count brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Code HARDCOUNT. When you play $5 in lineups now, gets you $50 in promo funds. Code HARDCOUNT. Now, we expect to win. We have a square that we like on this segment for you. But even if we don't win, again, $50 in promo funds when you use that code. So let me say that again. Undefeated, never trailed. Not bad. And I kind of got to thinking, I think Jesse Simonton, who's a national columnist for us here at On3, crushes it. And he made this point, I want to say it was last Sunday, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. If Indiana had a different uniform and just optically we were more comfortable with speaking about them among the great teams in college football, would they be a top 5 team? And this is no knock on Michigan, but let's just go ahead and say that you go ahead and swap the Indiana helmet for a winged helmet. Indiana fans, I know it feels gross, feels weird. It's a Big Ten team, but just roll with me here. Where would you be ranked? Okay, I understand the conversation around the schedule, who they've played, who they haven't played, undefeated, never trailed. I think that probably should count for something in a year where a lot of teams are taking losses left and right of the big brands. Georgia's got a loss. Ohio State's got a loss. Texas got a loss. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not telling you rank them above those teams, but I'm just saying it's at least a different conversation, I believe. So that's one part of this. And this is coming from somebody who last week picked against Indiana. I said I think Nebraska's ready for this one. I think Matt Rule's going to have the team dialed in. Y'all, I was wrong. A big part of that, Curt Cignetti has the boys dialed in. So let's talk about that. Why are we at this position here with Indiana? How'd they flip it around so quickly in the first season? Two things. One, the experience that Curt Cignetti has added to this roster, and the other piece of that is confidence. Let's start with the roster, though. This is not last year's Indiana team. Like, it's not. And that's not me saying that in like a cliche philosophical way, like, oh, there's a different team. No, like they literally have 31 transfers on this team. They have 13 of those transfers that are from JMU with Curt Cignetti. Translation, dudes that have won at a high level with Curt Cignetti when he was at JMU, won a whole bunch of conference titles, all right? So with that being the case, I think you're going to see a lot more people, or a lot more head coaches, I suppose, take the approach that Curt Cignetti took to the portal, which is more so production over potential, is I believe how Joel Klatt worded it. Essentially, guys that have actually done something on the football field as opposed to, well, he was a 5-star that didn't work out somewhere, so maybe we can make him work for us over here. And I'm not saying that doesn't work. I think we've seen, pretty clearly in a lot of examples that you can take a kid with a lot of ability and maybe he can work for you on your roster in a way he didn't somewhere else. But like, for Curt Cignetti to say, listen, I'm going to trust my eyes. I'm going to trust our evals. I'm going to trust the production on the field, the actual playing of the game that we're talking about here. Bring them to our team, and we're going to go ahead and utilize that. So, like, the experience and the overall just, like, chops this team has from a roster level is vastly, vastly different. Now, Curtis Rourke, not going to be healthy for the game against Washington. However, he's a perfect example of Curt Cignetti and his philosophy. Like, Curtis Rourke is a 6-year college football player. And people want to dunk on, oh, they played so long, go get a job, the LinkedIn jokes. Cool, do what you want to do, have your fun on Twitter. But understand now, when you have that much experience, especially at a position like quarterback, that's only going to benefit you. It's only going to benefit your offense because you're comfortable in those situations, and you see with the overall pace and style he plays with within the system, does Curtis Rourke, it's massive, massively impactful, and a big reason why they're so successful. So that's the experience in the roster. Let's talk about this, though, the confidence. And this is harder to quantify. It's harder to really pin down because confidence doesn't show up in a box score. It doesn't show up when you watch the tape necessarily. But I do think that is the word that continues to be associated with Curt Cignetti and how he goes about his business. I mean, heck, last week on game day, I think Pete Thamel had the quote, Curt Cignetti has an unflappable belief in Curt Cignetti. And people want to call that arrogant. People want to call that cocky. You know what I call that? A winning mindset. Here's the deal. If you don't believe in yourself, man, who's going to believe in you? Especially if you're the head coach. If I'm a player and my coach is a little bit, timid or not confident, am I going to go run through a wall for that dude on 4th and 1 Am I going to trust a play that he dials up on 3rd and 6, needed a first down to win the football game? Like, no. And so we keep saying this, the persona of your leadership is the persona of your football team. In a very short amount of time, I think the confidence of Curt Cignetti has permeated across this Indiana football team and allowed them to do what they're doing right now. So everything they're getting right now, Indiana, I mean, the college game day this weekend, the big noon last weekend against Nebraska, like everything they're getting, they have deserved and earned. All right? There's nothing that is like fluky or that caught a few breaks, never lost, never trailed. And so we look at their schedule here the rest of the way. If you're Indiana, let's just go ahead and assume you have to go 11-1 to make the college football playoff. Obviously, if you win the Big Ten, you're in the college football playoff and you're watching the first round of it with a bye. So that's nice. Show me where there's 2 losses here for Indiana. Show me the 2. Washington this week. No Curtis Rourke, a little bit tricky. I still think you win that football game. At Michigan State. We'll see on the road. You should win that football game. Michigan, no knock on Michigan, man. They aren't what they were last year. And we understand that. I think Sherrone Moore's the right guy over there, but I would still take Indiana as of today. Ohio State. Okay, that's the one you circle and say that'll be the great test, and we'll learn a lot about Indiana. Heck, we'll learn a lot about Ohio State in that game. Purdue should be a win. 11-1. Forget the Big Ten title game, whatever happens there. 11-1, you're in the college football playoff, whether you play a game in Indiana or in Indianapolis for the Big Ten title or not. So all that's to say, man, I think Indiana is an absolute wagon, should be taken seriously, and probably deserve a little bit more national attention than they're even getting right now. So the prize pick square that we like, Taven Jackson, in relief of Curtis Rourke, his passing yards total against Washington is listed at 214.5 passing yards. We'll take the more. We feel great about that. We spoke about the confidence with Curt Cignetti. I don't think they're pulling the reins back at all. I think they let him cook, and I think he gets more than that passing yard total. So, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds when you use that code. So lock in Taven Jackson. We'll take the more there, and we will, of course, take Indiana to win this week as well, based on this whole conversation that we just had. So we like the Hoosiers to beat Washington. All right? Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.